Always, we'll start our program with a prayer and the pledges. I'll start with a prayer, and I found this prayer today on Facebook, and I thought, my goodness, this would be so good. You know, and right now it's fitting for this well, any prayer is good for the time. It doesn't make any difference what time of the day or night. Prayers are prayers. But anyway, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Lord in heaven, thank you so much for this day, and thank you for this gathering. Thank you for everybody that's here. Bless them, get them home safe, and let's move forward in this election cycle. We all need to be working hard. We ask in the name of Jesus that all willful workers of wickedness be removed from their position of power, prominence, and prestige. Please open the eyes of those being deceived and place people who stand for your righteous cause in high places in government and influence. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And God bless Donald Trump, protect him from all enemies, domestic and foreign.
All right. Pledges. We're going to do the pledge, huh?
You know, in Vacation Bible School, we do 4 pledges. Everybody know those, the other 2? We're not going to do them tonight. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right. Well, we have, first of all, we'll start out with our minutes, and then we'll do some announcements and so forth. But our minutes, Rick?
We didn't have an official meeting last night, so we had no minutes.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. And financial?
Our August beginning balance was $2,890.01. We received 50/50 and donations of $420. And we have also donated $30 for the use of the church, so we'll put some money with that because we met at Trinity Family Church with Sid Miller. So that we have an ending balance of $3,340.01. Any questions, or would you like any further explanations?
Yeah, I move that you add about 5,000 to that.
It's checkbook out. I know you didn't sell it all. We know better, Ann. You got it.
All right.
Next, we're gonna do 50/50, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
You will get Jackie and somebody that did not buy a ticket, our guests perhaps draw a ticket. We're gonna draw third place. Get your tickets out.
Okay, last 4 digits, 0757.
This is third place.
Oh, I got it.
Who is it?
Lori, I believe.
Lori,
Lori.
how about that?
I'm bossy.
You are. That's why I like it. That's why I like it.
This is second place.
This one.
Meeting glasses. 670082.
Yeah, last 4 digits, 080.
We got it.
Okay.
Yep.
Doing greeting.
Sherry Marino.
Donated back to the club. This is for first place. 25% of our 50.
Well, we've got some tickets that are in, but I don't think she's going to look at them. Should I be looking for her? 0825.
8-1?
825.
Okay, that wasn't me.
We also have some tabs.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, tell me this day and money, you just keep saying that, so you
We have, one of our members has donated his crucifix, so we're gonna draw for that. So get your tickets out. Get your tickets out.
Yeah, oh, Brittany, your man.
Suzanne, right?
This one, 0802.
0802. Thank you.
0802. Oh, Judy. Okay, so we also, we have these tabs that Dennis brought, so what one can you just take it? Or, yeah, grab them away out. There's more here than I thought there was. Gonna roll.
Okay. Lori, do you want to talk about programs coming up?
Well, we do these other announcements first real quick, other business real quick.
Okay, you talking,
Under other business.
okay. Go ahead, well, go ahead. You got Ann there.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally we would have in October a fundraiser, but we kind of drug our feet, things have happened, you know, today, da. So what I want you to hear tonight though is, I want you to save the date, November the 2nd, which is a Saturday, we'll be hosting a poker run fundraiser. We're gonna try to finish up we don't have a start time, but we're gonna try to finish up at 1 o'clock. We'll meet at 14 Barbecue downtown Forney, and be a good time to mingle and network, etc. So basically save the date, November the 2nd, and more information to follow. Pam is camping, so, or glamping maybe. And she is involved, she is actually instrumental in this poker run. And if you don't already know, she will fill you in. So get ready to make some money for the club, okay? That's what I got. Oh, we do need on this, for those that are members of the club, we need a motion that we do this fundraiser. So, wait, just a minute. The fundraiser, we need a motion to have this fundraiser, and we need to include in that motion that we, because there may be some expenses, we don't know, and we just anticipate no more than $300 if any expenses at all. And then we will need a second on that motion. So moved. Okay, secretary. Okay.
Who did the,
She did the move.
Lori?
I can't believe you forgot my name.
I know you're
Crow. Lori Crow.
Lori, other Lori.
All right, so we've had a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, we will proceed from there, and so get yourself ready, in shape. If it means walking, driving, motorcycling, biking, whatever it takes for you to get on this poker run, and please support it in whatever fashion. If you are unable to make that date, I'll take your money.
So, all in favor say aye? Is that, okay, that does it.
Related to that though, I would like to also make a motion that we make that our next meeting. By law says that we have to vote motion that we make November 2nd our regular meeting for November.
So, we have a second? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
So Ms. Beaver, Gloria will send that out in an email and video changing that date,
Okay.
correct?
Now, do we want to go ahead with this nominations committee?
We need to get, at least we need to get the committee appointed.
Okay. I need 5 people to serve on nominations committee to choose new officers in the coming, next election cycle.
I will.
Okay? Okay, there's 1. How many? Anybody? Need 2? 3? Come on. Need 2 more. 4, 5. Okay, that's it. Take the names.
Yeah, where's the name?
Get the names.
Who was the fifth? We got Lori again.
If you volunteer to be on the committee, would you please say your name?
Robert?
Kenneth Shane, Robert Williams. Who else? Rick, who was the other 2? That's- You're in? Okay, and Lori. Okay, that's it. We got them. Okay. Thank y'all. Now, as far as programs are concerned, the next month we're having our Hispanic outreach program, and we're lucky to have Christina's here tonight. She's going to help us with that. Over here with in promoting that particular program, where we're going to try to do an outreach for Hispanics for Trump. So we're going to try to pull everything that we can in here. We've got a group called Luca coming in, Latinos United for Conservative Action, and they're coming all the way from Lubbock here to talk to us about that. So anyway, that's going to be an exciting time, and we really ought to be out trying to promote as many Hispanics as we can to come to that program.
When is that?
That's October the 21st, I believe. October the 21st. No program well, we got the fundraiser in November. No program in December. We got a Christmas party in December. But in January, we're going to have a united meeting with the Van Zandt County Club and our club, and we're going to have Abraham George and Dorinda Randall from the State of Texas Republican Party. So we can look forward to that. Now we'll get this program started here. Any questions on that? Okay. This past Saturday night, I was honored and privileged to attend the program, the Fredericksburg Tea Party program in Kerrville, Texas. Had about 400 people there to hear Mike Lindell talk. You know, the My Pillow guy. And my goodness, it was almost emotional. I mean, the guy, in fact, I don't know if anybody's heard the news today, I don't know. They were supposed to, there was some lawsuit that Mike Lindell is in, and it was supposed to culminate today. And if the lawsuit went in his favor, My Pillow is going to be standing up tall. If it didn't, he may go under. So be looking for that to come out. We're just hoping, pray.
He was being sued by the voting machine people.
Yeah. Well, anyway, hope and pray that he comes out and does well on that. My goodness, the program was unbelievable. He started out with said this. He says, I travel all across the United States, and he said, I have to deal with all kinds of elected officials and everything, and he said, there's one attorney general in the United States, in the whole country, that's standing up against these people. Only one. He said, that's Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton standing for us all across the nation, and fighting. I don't know how many lawsuits he's won against the the Biden administration. I think they're one and the same. Well, y'all know, I guess this is how many terms has Obama had? This might be his last one, I hope. Also, Michael Lindell made the comment, he said, out of all, he said the whole world, he said 132 countries in the world have outlawed machines, voting machines, and are going to paper ballots only. 132 countries. I think I sent that note to Jackie today. By the way, our county judge is here, Jackie Allen. I'm so proud you're here, Jackie. Thank you for coming, buddy. By the way, are there any other elected officials here other than precinct chair? Raise your hand, precinct chairs. There you are. Well, hey. Good. All right. Anyway, paper ballots. Last but not least, there's a second assassination attempt on President Trump. You know, that's, I don't know. Has anyone heard anything out of the FBI or Secret Service about this? I mean, I know that there's been batting around the edges.
They need more money and they need more people, what they said today on their press conference.
Oh, that's
Right.
That's counting.
Local legal status.
Okay.
Status on the edge.
What? Okay. Also, I wonder if the House and the Senate are going to do anything about this, about protecting the president. That's another thing that they, that really need to be thinking about. And a question for the judges that are here: do you guys believe, and you can think about this, you can talk about this, maybe you can talk about this, I don't know, but do you guys think that maybe the deep state of the world order has anything to do with this kind of stuff? Now the general public does, but I don't know what you guys think and how far you can go into a discussion about that. But it's really phenomenal. Okay, Lori, what do you got?
Well, I just want to talk about our two guests we have that are going to speak tonight. I first met Gina back, I don't think it's been quite 2 decades, but it's been a long time ago, and she still looks young, and I have aged. But John was on the SREC, and we had a visit with her. And we don't need to get into those details, but she has been affiliated with many conservative organizations. I know Christian Engaged is one of your, I don't know if you're on the board, maybe?
I'm not on the board, but I'm very involved.
Okay, well, I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks. And also with the Republican Party of Texas in general, but I found out she's also a founder and manager of Dental Creation, so that's why she has such nice teeth. So, and she's been endorsed by Donald Trump, Kim Paxton, and Sid Miller, and many others. And also, I guess we're going to have them both stand up there, maybe, or together, or separate.
No.
David was really, of course, big deals when I first met him. And back in 2015 is whenever he served. And so he and other judges that they put deals with many of them, the ones that were Republican, they would come to a lot of our primaries that we did. There's now Dallas County has got rid of all our conservatives. But at any rate, we're just really glad to have David and Gina here. And he also was endorsed by the ones that I mentioned earlier. And I'll just let David talk for himself.
David has been, and Gina, both these guys have been endorsed by the people, huh? And then last election, by golly, they won, and so glad you guys
Not by a
did.
little. By a lot, thanks to you.
Betcha.
All right, he's going to make a great leader. He knows to yield the floor when there's a woman around. So, David and I, we've campaigned hard all across Texas. I'm going to start out by explaining a little bit about the court and the office that we were elected to be your Republican nominee for, and what the court does. And so basically there are 2 Supreme Courts in Texas. Generally everyone is familiar with the Texas Supreme Court, and that is the court of last resort for civil cases and also juvenile cases. which are sort of similar, they're a civil and criminal mix, the juvenile cases. And then we have the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, which is the court of last resort for criminal cases. So we have two high courts in Texas, the Texas Supreme Court, which is the court of last resort for civil cases, and the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, which is the last resort for criminal appeals. And so there's a lot of confusion. There are only two states in the nation that have two Supreme Courts like this, Oklahoma and Texas. And so basically we have district and county courts, and those cases can be appealed to the intermediate courts. So you have 15 intermediate courts of appeal. And then after that, the cases will come up to the higher courts on the civil side or on the criminal side, which would be the court that we've been nominated to be your Republican nominee for. And so that's just kind of in a nutshell how the courts are structured and the flow of the work through the courts. But basically, and this is where it gets a little confusing, there are 9 judges on the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. And every 2 years, 3 of those judges are up for re-election. And or for if it's a vacant slot, then they'll be running for the first time. But you have 3 open slots basically every election cycle. So this time there are 3 of us that ran against incumbents, and it's really hard to beat an incumbent. David and I know because we've run against incumbents before this time. And so it's tough to beat an incumbent. But all 3 of us won, and we unseated the 3 incumbents that were in the race. So you have 3 Republican nominees, and basically David and I won by a landslide. And the reason that this court had so much attention is because of the Stevens decision, which you may have heard about, where the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals stripped our Attorney General of his ability to effectively prosecute election fraud. The only way he can prosecute election fraud is if he gets consent from a local DA, and then he can come in and prosecute election fraud. But in these blue cities where we have Soros-backed DAs, we all know that they're not going to be prosecuting election fraud. After all, it is the Democrats that do the cheating, right? So that's a challenge. That became a major issue. And so we had the support of Attorney General Ken Paxton. He got behind us, campaigned statewide on our behalf, and also Sid Miller, our agricultural commissioner. He was a solid conservative, and he campaigned for us. And then the best part of all is we got Trump's endorsement. So we were happy about that. And so we are on the ballot November 5th. You can vote for the 3 of us that won. David Schenck ran for presiding judge, which is place 1. I ran for place 7, and Lee Finley ran for place 8. So all 3 of us are on the ballot on November the 5th. And we need to all 3 win, because there's certainly a lot of need for change, and David can talk more about some of the ideas that he has. I've got to know David. I think he is going to be an excellent leader and do a really outstanding job. He's got a lot of experience, and he's got some really good ideas that will make the court even more efficient, I believe, and more effective. So, and he can talk to you more about that. I'll just give you a little bit about my background. I know you have my handout, so I won't take a long time on that. And originally I went to law school. I was writing a book actually on the life issue, and I read Phyllis Schlafly's book, Sweetheart of the Silent Majority. And so I thought, she went to law school in her 50s, and she had a whole house full of kids. So they were older by then, but still, I thought if she can do it, I can do it. And so, I decided to go to law school, and went to Baylor Law School. And I had my undergraduate degree also from Baylor in marketing and entrepreneurship, and then I went on to law school. And after I got out of law school, I became a prosecuting attorney. I worked as an assistant county attorney and also as a city attorney at the same time. And then after that, I became an assistant district attorney in another county where I'm from, McLennan County. I'm from Waco. and I worked there. And then not too long after going to work there, I left that office and started my own private law practice. And I've been in private practice since 1991, and I've primarily done criminal defense work since that time. So that's just in a nutshell my legal background. Also interned and did appellate work. I forgot to mention that, and did appellate work when I was working in the district attorney's office. So, but what I'm the proudest of is my work with Phyllis Schlafly. I served as her National Judicial Reform Chairperson, and also I received an award from her, a national award for Texas for my outstanding work in support of the United States Constitution, because I was traveling all over the state of Texas speaking about the Bill of Rights and how important the Bill of Rights are to us. And so she's written an excellent book called The Supremacists, The Tyranny of Judges and How to Stop It. And it's been out, it's been in print for a while. I've read it a number of times, and she really brings a lot of insight to how we've gotten away from just basically upholding the Constitution. And she talks about how the judges legislate from the bench and how this started with the Warren Court. And it really started with the concept of substantive due process, and I won't bore you all with this. I'd be really getting pretty deep into the details of it, but that's how they expanded their power, was with that concept. And that court was a very, I would say, aggressive court in terms of legislating from the bench. And in my opinion, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all the amendments to the Constitution, obviously, it's pretty straightforward. We had the founding fathers, the brilliance of those documents is astounding to me. I still, every time I read, especially the first 10 of the Bill of Rights, I'm just like amazed and impressed, and just, it's amazing how straightforward and how easy to understand it is, and how clear they made what our rights are in writing that. And so, I believe that as a judge that we should not legislate from the bench, that we should uphold the Constitution and the rights that are protected in the Constitution. And we have people that are really coming after these rights. And especially one I want to talk about, because I've been thinking about it today, is the Second Amendment. And so they want to confiscate our guns, is what Kamala Harris wants to do. And so, and I have people that I know that are friends. So I had my fundraiser in Waco yesterday at the Republic Gun Club. And that didn't go over very well with some people, so I got some emails and texts from people that are friends of mine. And one is he's a solid Democrat, but he's still my friend. And so he just sent me a nice little email back that said, just say no to all guns. So, yeah, and that's right here in Texas. So, and then I had another friend of mine who is a counselor who went at great length. He was to send me these long messages telling me why I was wrong and why we need to ban assault weapons, all these various things. And so I texted him back and I said, great minds can differ. And of course their emphasis is on the guns. It's not on the mental health of the people that have access to the guns and the changes that need to happen in our mental health system. And also the main thing that they forget is the Second Amendment it's not there just so we can go deer hunting or we can have a gun in our home to protect ourselves, but it's there so that we are protected from the tyranny of government should we ever need to exercise that right. And so, thank you. So that's why it's important that we have solid people on the court. As I've given a lot of thought to what's happening with Trump and how he's under attack, and they're always saying he's mean, but we have to work on our messaging and push back. The reality is that he's not mean, that the Biden-Harris team, they're mean, right? So one of the things I've said, we've got all these illegal immigrants crossing the border, and they're raping our daughters. And they're causing death of young people. I have a friend who almost died of fentanyl because her son was using, and he had left the remnant of it of it somehow, how they use it on the water bottle, and she ended up in the hospital. So fentanyl is coming across our border. It's killing our young people. It's killing people. And then you look at what's happening in Springfield, Ohio, a city that's being overtaken by immigrants. And you know, that's not right to us as Americans. And in my opinion, that's what's mean. You're tearing down our borders. You're putting us at risk, you know, of terror attacks. We've got the cartels. We have violence. We have gangs that are in these apartments that we see online. We had Governor Abbott come out today and talk about the Venezuelan gangs in Texas. That is mean, and it's also disrespectful. It shows no honor to us as the American people, or to our country, or our boundaries. And then the second thing that you hear them saying is that Trump is weird, and J.D. Vance is weird. But let's set the record straight. There's nothing stranger than Tampon Tim, right? You know, and even stranger than that, I think, is when they think it's normal to have drag queen hour at the library for our 5- and 6-year-old children. That is weird, it's insane, and it's bizarre. I mean, they are mean, they are weird, and so when he pushes back with a mean tweet, or when we stand up against that, and they promote a culture of death with abortion. They don't have a message of hope. They have a message of death, a message of selfishness, a message of what's in it for me. So we have a great platform that is pro-life, pro-family, and all of those values that made America great. And so we need to push back against that messaging. And the third thing that I want to talk about is relative to the courts. And this is where I think they are bullies. They have abused power to go after President Trump. I got to thinking, David, in all my years of practicing criminal defense work, I've never had a defendant with as many charges as they charged President Trump with. I mean, never. I've had the grandfather, the father, and the son, represented all 3 generations in some of my criminal defense work. Never have I seen that many charges, even for a whole family. I mean, it's amazing. And then I met someone yesterday at my fundraiser, and she was an elector from Georgia. They charged her with 10 felonies. One's been dismissed, and she has 9 left. She was charged with President Trump. She's as normal as all of us sitting here in this room. No criminal background, no issue like that at all in her history. On these trumped up charges, a normal American. You look at the J6ers, they're holding them in jail, even some of them still to this day. And they're normal people like us that wanted to participate in what would have been a peaceful demonstration had there not been others that were inciting them to act out. And so you look at what's happening with that. They're putting people out on bond who are repeat offenders, who are violent repeat offenders, but they're holding these J6ers in jail for months and now years on end. That is an abuse of power. And they are the bullies. They are the mean-spirited, weird bullies. The problem is not the Republicans. The problem is the progressive left that's pushing this agenda and all of the billionaires that are supporting that. And so we have to push back on that message. We have the message of hope. We have the message that's going to uphold the rule of law and justice and order in our communities and keep us safe. And the important thing I want you to remember when we talk about the abuse of power, really, every single judge where these unjust cases were filed, every place where all this is happening, a judge can stand between the people and those who are abusing power. The only thing that stands between the abuse of power is a solid judge who will uphold the rule of law and stop the tyranny of government. And that's why, thank you. And that's why judges are important. You can really see it at the national level. You know, David and I, we see more at the state level, just like that Stevens case. And then 2 more really bad cases came out this last week dealing with election law. And so it makes a difference who is on the bench. It makes a difference because one of the things that we're charged with is upholding the United States Constitution and upholding our Texas Constitution. But what happens, I think, is sometimes people are elected and they have good intentions. And they're even conservative Republicans, but then they get into that, I call it intellectual think tank, and they lose their way. And a lot of elected officials do the same. A lot of our state reps, a lot of elected officials do the same. And so, but I'm grassroots. I grew up, my mom was the vice chair of our party, block walking, getting candidates elected, and only being disappointed when they sold out to a lobby who gave them money. And so I don't like that. And one thing about being older, and I've talked to God about this, I said I'd like to have been in my 40s instead of at this age running for office, but come to find out, God fired me. I'm no longer his scheduler. So I'm not in charge of those plans, so this is his timing for both for David and for me. And so, but you know, with age, there's something that happens. And my husband and I went through a really tough time. He had COVID and a lot of after effects. We lost a lot of money, and it was the biggest trial of my life, and he was so sick. And so, you know, but through that, what God put in my heart was a love for righteousness and a determination to be a voice for truth. And so my commitment to you is I will not betray those values, and I will not betray your trust. And because of that, I'm asking for your vote on November the 5th. But not only that, I want to challenge you. Just your vote is not enough. We've got to get Ted Cruz elected. We have to vote all the way up and down the ballot. Please, please, block walk, phone call, whatever is available in this county for you to do. And I'm sure that Ray has a long list of things you can volunteer for. Sign up and do it. If you're retired, pack up and go to Wisconsin with Ray. You'll have the time of your life. You know? I mean, really. Fight harder than you have ever fought. Work harder than you've ever worked. When we come in here, we are preaching to the choir. But when you take the message and you're inspired and you go work, make a difference. Next month, when you come to this meeting, bring someone with you. I was the chair of our Central Texas Republican Women. I was the president of that club. Every month I said, do not show up here next time without a friend. That's how we grow. That's how we influence society. And so that's part of what needs to happen when we're looking at turning the vote out. The second thing is we need your prayers. I mean, David and I, you know, we're traveling statewide. You know, my husband does all the driving. If he looks worn out, we have been on the road nonstop. He's really younger than he looks, but I'm really hard on him. So he's a retired family practice doctor, and he didn't know when he retired he was going to be a chauffeur. But he's also my marketing assistant, my dietitian, and my best friend and counselor. So I appreciate all he does for me. So, but we need your prayers. I mean, we have a lot of late nights on the road, and we're traveling hard and working hard. And then the third thing is we need your financial support. Whatever you can do to support us financially. My campaign website is on the flyer that I handed out, ginaparker.com. So you can go online and make an online donation. But I find that most people that are my age or older prefer to give cash or a check, and I do all of the above. So, but we need that support from you. And you know, sometimes people think, well, it won't help, it won't make a difference. It does make a difference. Everything, God gives each one of us a mission. He gives each one of us, we have a profession, we have a place in society and life. And so you do what is in your heart to do and how he speaks to you to give and to help. And so those are the things we need. Thank you for showing up tonight, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you. David.
Thank you, Gina. Kevin, thank you for bringing her again and for gracing us with your attendance. Ray, Lori, friends, it's such an honor to be back here with you. For those of you who don't remember, I was a judge for you over North Texas for 8 years. Gina likes it when I yeah, all right. I have these fancy credentials. So I went to law school, and I was shocked to graduate first in my class, to be recruited to go to Washington, D.C. and work at a large law firm doing U.S. Supreme Court work. And I came back here, and I was recruited by a guy named Ted Cruz, another one named Donnie Ray Willett, to be the chief counsel to the Attorney General of Texas, which I did for a couple of years. And I ran your redistricting defense back in that cycle, whatever it was, when we have to redraw all of our boundaries. You may remember the time when the primary kept getting moved.
Yes.
That was me getting beat up in a courtroom in San Antonio by 3 federal judges. And yeah, and so after that, I was put on the Fifth Court of Appeals here in Dallas when it was an all Republican court. I won't say all conservative, but all Republican court. And for all of its challenges, the court worked pretty well. That has changed. My last 2 years on the court, I was the only conservative, and during that time, I'm just going to go over a couple of things you probably don't pay attention to because you have other things to do. We had a pastor here in East Texas who decided that he had the First Amendment right to say that he believed that abortion was murder. He was sued. Barclay Dixon was sued for defamation for expressing that opinion publicly. Your court that sits over you here in Dallas said that's A-OK. The First Amendment does not protect your right to defame abortionists by saying that you believe abortion's murder. 13 judges on that court, 12-1. Okay, I was the only dissent. Okay, same court, same jurisdiction, Children's Medical. You know where that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Downtown Dallas. They decided we don't want to use our facilities anymore to provide gender-affirming care in our hospital. One of their doctors sued them and said, who are you to decide what services will be made available in your own hospital? Dallas County Court says, you're right. Provide those services whether you want to or not. Comes up to the Fifth Court of Appeals. How many votes you think said that is nonsense? 1. Okay? I could keep going. You have not just us on the ballot this cycle. You have Kaufman County. Let me tell you, you're going to be okay in Kaufman County. But Dallas Court of Appeals sits above everything that they do. 8 people are on the ballot this cycle. Control of that court is up. You have a choice. You can keep going along this path, or you can get your friends out in Collin, Dallas, Kaufman, Grayson, Hunt, Rockwall counties, and take that court back. I'm not campaigning for myself right now, but I care about what's happening here. I mean, and just to make the point further, I was making a lot of money when I was in private practice. I was a partner at an international law firm, and I said, you know what, this is not enough. I mean, I care about the world I live in. I clerked for the Chief Judge of the Fifth Circuit. He was a Democrat, wonderful person, and now I'm going to start getting into what Ray wants me, I think, to talk about. I don't think our enemies are the Democrats. I don't think our enemies are liberals, at least not honest liberals. I think if you go way back now, some of us are old enough to remember, 1992, that election, there was a third candidate on the ballot, a guy named Ross Perot from here. And 27% of the United States said, we want something different. Republican, Democrat, less filling, tastes great, they're the same thing. And people said, we want something different. And the problem that we're facing right now, and there's a lot of challenges, obviously, we're going through something that is hard to understand, but I've seen enough now, and one more thing, I ran the commission, I chaired the Commission on Judicial Conduct for the state of Texas. So all the judges and all their behavior had to come to us. Most of it's confidential. You would be surprised. You would be surprised. And the big picture here, this is me, I'm gonna wrap up on my race in the judiciary. We can do better. Not just that we can, we must. Okay, civilization is on the brink right now. But the good news is this is something that had to happen. We're going through something. This is generational, what we're talking about. Since I think at least 1964, the parties have been motivated by the simplest things. I mean, people act in accordance with their incentives. What you put in front of them is the way they're going to behave. It's about power and it's about money and the relationship between those two things. There are people who are benefiting from chaos. And they're not just liberals, it's about money and it's about power. And the job of the judiciary, we were given such a gift in this country. I mean, if I had grown up poor in Zimbabwe or Honduras, I'd want to get to this country as fast as I possibly could. And I wanted to stay the place where the whole world ought to want to get. And I want them to get here. And I want them to go through a process and to be here and to succeed. There are some people whose interest it is not to have them succeed, okay, to hold them down and to make them dependent on government because it's a perpetual cycle. Okay, and there's money in that, and where there's money, there's power. Where there's power, there's money. Okay, and that's the cycle. And now, where does the judiciary fit into that? It is back off here. We are supposed to be the quiet adults watching the chaos out in the streets. And when somebody comes in front of you and says, "Hey, fellow same party member, it looks like the other guys are gonna win if we let them run their candidate. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say 30 seconds after a riot that maybe we let happen and maybe we don't, we're gonna declare that an insurrection. And then a couple years later, we're gonna run through a series of state Supreme Courts the idea of just take them off the ballot. Okay, we're gonna defend democracy. Now, it's a judge's job there to say, wait a second. You're trying to put in my hand the responsibility for attacking the Constitution, for becoming a political actor in your mess, and I'm not going to play that game." And what has happened? The judges have rolled over. The biggest problem this country has is not corruption in a direct sense, it's weakness. Okay? It's people who see their opportunity to confront something difficult and dangerous, and I've seen it. And gosh, somebody else will take care of that. Maybe the next guy will deal with that. Think about Hollywood. There are good people in Hollywood. Can they say what they think and still get jobs? No. So what do most of them do? They shut up and they cash the checks and they keep going. That's human behavior. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun here. This has been going on for as long as man has been on this earth, and it's going to keep happening. But what's happening is the questions starting to get called faster and faster and faster. And the people have seen it. They've had enough. And they're telling us that with these elections. And there's enormous resistance to the people having the opportunity to take the country and say, I don't want black and white. Let's tell you about redistricting. Black, white, Hispanic. How many House districts or Texas congressional districts were not drawn on the basis of the race of the people who were going to be put into them in order to assure an outcome favorable to the incumbents? How many? Zero. 100% were drawn on the basis, and that's the way we've been doing it for a long time. And what do you think after 10 or 20 or 40 years like that, the state's going to look like? And it produces predictable outcomes for the benefit of the incumbents who raise money from Lockheed Martin, pharmaceutical companies, big tech, et cetera, et cetera. And those people have a lot at stake. And they see it all at risk now. And all that we have to do is watch this process run forward. Honest people in the public voting according to their conscience and their gut instincts are going to get us over this line. We're going to get there. Black and white, Hispanic, there's no difference here. People are benefiting from fomenting this hostility. They stir up the left with this idea that you need to change your gender, you this and that, but most of us see that and we're too polite just to say out loud, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, I heard Ted Cruz this week, he was like, even a caveman could, is that a woman or is that a man? He could tell you that, okay, but a sitting U.S. Supreme Court justice can't answer that question, right? Why? Because they're afraid. They're just like the Hollywood people can't say it out loud. I know that's nonsense. They can't. But the answer is you have to, right? That's the job. When you get on the bench, it's your job just to say, take that someplace else. Here, I raised my hand, I took an oath to to uphold and defend the Constitution. I'm going to do that. You guys go play your game someplace else. And so long as the judiciary is doing that, we're going to be fine. Some places, they're not doing that. And that's potentially catastrophic. But what I think is going to happen right now is we're going to push through this. This is kind of like a snake digesting a golf ball. It's going to come. It's going to come all the way through. And on the backside of it, I think we're going to be a lot better off, right? Their people are nervous. When I say their people, I mean bad people. I mean demonically inspired people. You don't, for all of the criticism that Gina points out they throw at us, you don't see our people sneaking underneath bushes, hiding, waiting for their opportunity to murder somebody in the dark. Our people show up at abortion clinics and pray quietly and get prosecuted for it, right? And then judges say, what about it? Right? I mean, we don't have to agree with each other. We're not always going to agree with each other. What we have to do is accept that this country is here for everybody, and there's lanes for people to stay in. And you can take all your money and you can do whatever you want with it. You can put it into election contests, but you can't manipulate the outcome. We have to be able to trust the judiciary to call balls and strikes, and we've got to be able to trust our elections to tell us who actually won and who actually lost. If we can't have those two things, where else do we go? There's no place left. Okay, so we need honest judges. I'm telling you, Gina, I, Lee, the Texas Supreme Court races, these are being targeted. They're being targeted by abortion issues and by, in my case at least, Soros money. My opponent is one of the top attorneys for the Austin DA, who's a Soros guy, and you know what that is. That's okay. I think by and large we're all going to be all right, but we can't assume anything. We need your help, as Gina pointed out, financial, phone calls, Facebook. I brought bumper stickers. Please get them out there. I got a lot of help this cycle with signs and the like, but this fight's worth having. And I think at the end of this, we're going to have a better country. President Trump is going to get reelected again. Yes. If it were up to me, I would keep him in a bunker in a secret location until like March. And between January 20th and that day in March, it would be pink slips to everybody over GS11 in the federal government, and we're going to start over. But we're going to get there. And this had to happen. When I say this, I mean this sense of chaos, this who is running the situation. These people are never going to show their faces, right? And it's not complicated when you think about it. People, as I say, act according to their incentives. And right now the incentive is divide the populace, you know, like a cat chasing a laser pointer. Here's an issue, chase it over there. But it's the same people funding this, people within the same parties, unfortunately. And it is what it is. But here in the judiciary, I'm going to live and I'm going to die on not here. Okay, not here. If you bring it here, we're going to call it and we're going to put an end to it real quick. And that includes if you're going to sue people saying you can't speak your mind on whether you think abortion is murder or not, no. Like we got to draw a line on the sand. You're going to make up new laws. You're going to do all the stuff that they've been doing. We can't have that. Honest, fair, competent, and show up at the job. And we have challenges with all that. I don't know that you have in Kaufman County so much, but in Dallas, when I was chairing that conduct commission, we had the commissioner's court threatening to stop paying the judges because they wouldn't come to work, right? So we didn't have criminal trials. My last 2 years as an appellate court judge over there, you know how many murder trials I saw on appeal? And you get a free lawyer, just to be clear, for the most part. How many murder trials do you think I saw appealed? 0. 0. You know why? And this would be a pretty easy article for somebody, right, if they wanted to. What happens is if you get arrested for armed robbery, you get arrested for domestic assault, et cetera, you go on probation. We're not going to try you for that because trying things takes time and money and the rest. And murder, as it turns out, is a violation of your probation. Okay, and it's much easier. It's a civil preponderance of evidence standard to revoke somebody's probation, whereas you have to go get a jury and do all the rest and try them for murder. So every murder I saw was not prosecuted as a murder. It was, we revoked him from his domestic violence, his this, his that. How many murders do we have in Dallas every month? Okay. And again, let me ask you this question. If what I saw is what I saw, how many of those murders are being committed by people who are already picked up and arrested on a felony charge that they didn't go to jail for? Like all of them. Okay? That turned around to the whole state is unacceptable. Gina told you I had a few ideas. I do. I'm not going to tell you what they are. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. We can't have this. Okay? What we need is civilization, constitutional government, conservative principles that were put in place and enshrined in our Constitution. And I'm going to follow them. And people are going to follow, I suspect, with me, or we're going to have another set of primaries and another election, and we're going to get there. It's going to be fine. But I think I'm very optimistic. I know I sound crazy for saying that right now, as people are trying to assassinate the president on a golf course. You've got people suing him for, you know, I heard him in the next room when I was in a hotel, and now I'm traumatized, or whatever it is they're doing. And the idea that we've got district attorneys, state attorney generals, judges going out of their way to run for office promising, I'm going to find a way to prosecute a person. I'm going to create new crimes to pursue against someone. That is not what this system is for. And when that's starting to come in, it's incumbent on the judges to say, no, 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 you're making us all look dirty and cheap, right? We don't have an army, okay? That's an executive branch function. The judges have no ability to make you pay your child support other than the confidence that you believe we're proceeding fairly and we said you need to do this because it's the right thing to do. We don't have a budget to withhold from people either. All we have is people's confidence in our integrity. And that you waste that at your peril. Okay? And we can't have it. And we're not gonna have it on my watch. And we've been having some of it in Texas and elsewhere. So big picture is we got problems in this country. People see it, people know it, they don't know what the name is for it, but they know it's a problem. And the people in this country want to get along together. They don't have to agree on everything, but they want to love each other, they want to be able to go to church, to worship, to pray, and not be targeted for it. And I think we're going to get there. If we can hold out for another couple of months, vote the right way, and I think we're going to see a Trump landslide. I think you're going to see it across the country.
Even with the cheating, you think that?
I'm sorry?
Even with all the cheating, you think that?
Yeah, there's some cheating. There's no question about it. And my concern is really it's only about 7 or 8 counties. And you talk about Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Fulton County, Georgia, Maricopa, Arizona. We need poll watchers, but you know, it's getting to the point where they need a whole lot of cheating to really change an outcome. And ultimately, none of us are in charge, right? There is a plan. We hope that it favors us. I believe that there is, and I think that it does. And we're gonna get there. There's no way you can persuade me that 40% of the American public is looking at what we've had for the last few years and saying, I want more of that, right? There's just no way. And you cannot get 11% stuffed into the ballot box without somebody figuring it out. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
On the Supreme Court, Texas Supreme Court, the Court of Appeals, is it the ruling of one judge, or is it the combination of was it 12? Or
Yeah, 5.
5?
It's a 9. Supreme Courts have 9 people on them. So it's a 5-4 vote. You will have noticed, if you do the math, that Gina, Lee Finley, and I were elected to this court. What has historically been happening is there's one guy who's been dissenting. It's been 8-1 for a while. So now you can do the math. There's 4, 5-4. I've been through this enough to know I need to get one more. I believe I had it already. The Texas Supreme Court is an all-Republican court as well. I've said what I have to say about that court, but I will tell you that the Democrats are not the people you want right now in office at any level.
Anywhere.
And it's not because Democrats are evil. It's not because liberals are evil. Some of them, like this guy Bill Maher, Russell Brand, honest liberals, I don't mind. I'll debate these issues with you. I think you really believe what you're saying. And that's great. I mean, we can have these conversations. But the moneyed Hollywood corporate Democrat George Soros party is something worth fighting. I'm sorry. It's worth the fight. And it's pervasive right now, and it's got to be killed. I'm sorry, but it's just got to be smothered. And I think that's what's going to happen. There'll be pockets. Yes, Ray?
Judge, is there any hope for our J6s other than Donald Trump's pardon?
Yeah, the Texas legislature.
No, I said, is there any hope for our J6 in D.C.?
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's the idea of holding people in custody longer than they could serve if they were convicted of what it is you've charged them for seems very difficult for me to understand. Right? I mean, extremely difficult. I think if Trump is in, they're out. I mean, they're free. And I think I would expect the courts at some point to say, well, wait a second, you've been charged with, a lot of them have been charged with parading without a permit, trespass. I mean, these are, I think there's a lot of hope for them, yeah. Yes. Anything else?
Can you tell me what Lee Finley's place is?
Place 8.
Place 8.
I did.
And your Dallas Court, you said it was on the first one, was that?
The Fifth Court of Appeal, you're in it. There's 4 million people in that court. And we look, the Texas Supreme Court and my court can't take more than 1 out of 1,000 cases that comes through this system, right? And one of the things I'm going to try to improve is it's chaos right now. We got random stuff coming up that's just not important. This court keeps taking cases like, you know, like there's a $5 charge along with your criminal conviction to pay for the court reporters. Like 3 times they've taken this case up. What the hell are you doing? Like, what about murder? Like, you know, let's get back onto that. That court in Dallas is the boss of every court judge you have here in Kaufman County. So you think you've done something good by electing judges in Kaufman County, and you have, and forget it. They flip it over. And we can't take everything that they do. And there's 13 judges on that court. 8 of them are up in this cycle. 8. Okay, so between Kaufman, well, frankly, Dallas, I know everyone said, oh, Dallas. There's a lot of Republicans in Dallas, and a lot of conservatives in Dallas. They're black, they're Hispanic, they're us, right? Reach out to them. I mean, we win. And look, I can just tell you from that redistricting experience I had, I'm extremely optimistic about Texas. I think that Hispanic voters in South Texas are about to take over this state. And God, I hope so. I hope so. Because I think they are going to deliver a message that's going to be 20 years in the end.
That's the reason we're having that Hispanic, just to get this started. Somebody's got to kick the ball in that direction, because the Hispanic population is taking over. They're the #1 population now, and we've got to take advantage of them.
Yes.
Because they are family oriented. They're, you know, their family, their hard work, they've got all the values, and we need to promote that.
Yes. And we brought literature with us today. I've got literature and bumper stickers, and the good news about my bumper stickers is they promise they will pull right off your window when the election's over. Won't stay there for forever, so please get those out. And Gina brought real swag. She's fancy. But the thing to remember too is we're statewide. If you have friends in Texarkana, El Paso, Lubbock, Amarillo, Corpus, that's us.
I have your signs out in my car.
Yeah.
That we brought. So if anybody wants your signs,
Bless you.
they can.
Thank you. Or just get them out to polling places when early voting starts.
I put them up at several different polling locations last time.
Well, I appreciate that.
Like 7 different.
I'll tell you, I got a call from a good friend of mine in San Antonio. He's like, your opponent's signs are all over the place. And I'm like, what signs are you talking about? And I called somebody in Austin and say, oh yeah, that's the Soros people. Right? So she works with the DA in Travis County. And even the Democrats tried to wipe him out this cycle because he's too far left, and that failed. So he's now got a case against him trying to remove him from office. He only prosecutes police officers, apparently. So they're a little hot at him in Austin, but Soros is really happy. So apparently that money's coming into my race and presumably the others. But I think we're going to do well, but I don't think we can rest on our laurels. As Gina said, we're all over the state. She's going out to Abilene on Saturday. I'm going to be going down to Lavaca, I think it is, a week after that. I mean, and then Harris County, you name it. It's a big job. We're up for it. I think you're up for it. And I'm just telling you, better times are ahead. When the righteous are in power, the people rejoice, right? And that's coming. That is coming. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to the both of you for stepping up and running. We need people of integrity like you guys, and we appreciate y'all stepping up.
Well, thank you.
The sacrifice, you might be making big money. I believe else both of you could. I appreciate y'all doing this.
Well, thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you, David. Yeah. I've been putting up signs for this guy a long time. We're I don't know what this is. Shelly, I'll call you back. One thing before we leave. Just a little commercial here. Anybody interested in going to Wisconsin with us? We're going, and we're leaving on October the 6th. We're going to stay up there a week, October the 6th through the 13th. We're going to be working there. All of your rooms are paid for. A lot of your food is going to be given to you. A lot of cheese. But anyway, and we figured out a way to pay for half of your airfare. So, I guess the most it would cost you would be $300. But anyway, we need about 4 more people. Anybody want to volunteer? Let's go. It'll be, and listen, if you've ever had anything to put on the bucket list, this is one of them, because it's one of the most exciting experiences and meaningful experiences you'll ever have in your life. I've done it. I've been to Wisconsin. I've been to Iowa. I've been to Virginia, Louisiana, working for the strike force and in the swing states. And it's really a wonderful experience. And you're not sitting on your butt and people accusing you of not doing anything. You're going to do something. So we're doing everything we can. I want to thank our speakers, first of all, for coming tonight and for giving us this program. I want to remind you that next month we're having our Hispanic outreach. We want to try to get everything that we can do to get out there and promote this as much as we can to have a good program, because we're breaking ground here. This is kind of a first, so you know how that goes. But we're passionate about this stuff, and we got to get it done. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Is there anything I'm missing? Anybody? Anything?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Good night. Be careful going home.